It was good, yeah. Yo, Tom Hawk Tony, African American Africans. Yo, we got Buck with us, of course. You know, much appreciation, African American Africans. Much appreciation of Fauna. We got Chief Two Hawks with us, and tonight we're going to be discussing African American Africans. Yo, we got Buck with us, of course. You know, yeah. Tonight we're going to be discussing Black identity extremists, Black identity extremism as well. All of that. How y'all doing? Two Hawks, you here?
Peace out for me, family. I'm here. Tom, how you doing, brother?
Yo, I'm good. I'm good. Hey, Buck, you with us?
I'm here. I'm right here.
Excellent. All right. So, yo, Two Hawks. So you just sent that Vice video regarding the what is it called? The hunt for Black identity extremists or something?
Yes. And Tom, I can't hear Mr. Davis when he speaks. I can't hear anything from him on my end. I don't know if it's something I'm not seeing.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's awkward. All right, so if that's the case, then yo, to anyone listening right now, let us know if you can hear when Buck is speaking. When Mr. Davis is speaking, let us know if you can hear him when he's speaking. All right, because if that's the case, then Two Hawks, I'll repeat what he said, so that you can hear what he said. You know, my apologies for any confusion. You know.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so okay, this was about to do. I'm about to pull up the Vice, and y'all, hey, y'all see what I'm doing live? I think we got the screen share popping right now. Let me verify the screen share is working. It's not. My apologies. Screen share. Let's get the screen share working. All right. The screen share. Oh yeah, here you go. Share. My bad. Setting it up. I didn't press the button. Cool. Present to everyone. Yep. Be good. Be good money. Let's do it. Yeah. Much appreciate to everyone in the audience right now. How y'all doing? All right. So Vice did a thing on hunting Black extremists or something like that, right? Black identity extremists.
Yes. I mean, at this point, it's got a Wikipedia. You can Wikipedia it. I'll read it. It says Black identity extremist is a designation coined by the FBI. It appeared in an internal FBI counterterrorism report dated 3rd of August 2017. The document describes police safety concerns from allegedly violent Black civil liberty activism in the United States. It was sent to thousands of police departments across America.
Yep.
So it's a very real status that they're placing on people. For those who are students of or fans of history, and I don't know too much about it, just in general stuff, but this harkens back to the whole COINTELPRO operation that they were using. And if you notice the terminology that they're using, first of all, is Black. But we all know what the terminology Black means and what the legal ramifications are. So they're making full use of that status. And then if you notice in this Wikipedia, it says that they're doing Black civil liberty activism.
Wow.
That's key to understand as well, because once you understand that as a Black status person or being that 14th Amendment citizen, you're not given human rights. And I know that there's some concern over humans. What we say in Fauna is we never said we were humans. You all said we had those same rights that humans have, though. So since we have the same rights that humans have, we're going to apply them. So when I say human rights, that's the perspective that we're coming from in Fauna. Not that we're humans by that definition of whatever that is, but simply saying that indigenous people have human rights. They have the same rights as humans. So when you look at that, civil liberties, those two terms, civil and then liberty, because liberty isn't freedom. Remember, give me liberty or give me death. It wasn't freedom, it's liberty. And liberty is the ability to do certain things with approval, pretty much. I'm sure that the legal definition is different from that, but that's the general concept. So we're talking about Black people who are involved in activism around civil liberties. And civil liberties are privileges. They're bestowed. They're not right. So basically, they're saying that you're Black people, and you're being, rambunctious, you're causing upheaval over privileges that were given you. Not even your rights, but privileges. But where does that place you in the eyes of the law? Does that make sense so far?
Yo, absolutely. Hey, to the audience right now, yo, does it make sense to y'all? Yo, Two Hawks giving y'all some great information right now. There we go. I bet everybody agrees with you, Two Hawks. We good money.
Okay.
And I got the legal definition of civil liberties. I got the definition, legal definition of civil. In addition to liberty legal definition. You know what I mean? So we ready to go.
Yeah, so let's go a little bit further than that. Let's apply that to today's situation. You have individuals, and this is all going to tie back to the fact that this system of colonization that we're dealing with is commercial. It's not necessarily even tied to the land, because they know by law whose land it is, by law. So how do you fix that? You put everyone underneath a commercial system, which then you says takes precedence over their status to the land. Being a citizen of the U.S., that's a commercial status. You can be taxed, you can be, all of these things that are commercial. You can pay taxes. So, and in exchange, you're given certain liberties and privileges.
Yeah.
So, when we're looking at it from that example, and understanding that as a U.S. citizen, the things you're giving are civil, and therefore their liberties and privileges, you have to understand from a nation's perspective, put yourself, let's put aside the ethical or moral element of it. Whether it's right or wrong, let's just look at what the law says can be done. You're a nation, you've got this group of people who are subordinate, the black people, who are getting in an upheaval over privileges and liberties that you gave them. From your standpoint, you don't really have to give them anything. But you gave them those things, and now they're being rowdy about that, and they're causing division. And now if we apply it to today, they're actually saying they're part of different nations. So they're claiming to be Moors, they're claiming to be Hebrew Israelites, they're claiming to be from Africa, they're claiming to be the copper-colored nation. And none of those things existed before the U.S. were here in power. So really what these are pretty much enemy combatants and enemy nations that are forming in your lands that you feel you have superior jurisdiction over. So this is looked at as domestic terrorism because of what you're claiming to be and where you're claiming to come from. When you say you're a Moor, well, where are you going to tie to in terms of the land that you could undo this commercial status that you have here? If you say you're a Hebrew Israelite, how do you substantiate that? How do you prove that through any sort of genealogy or history or documentation? How do you do that? You say you're a Pan-African, well then you're not from here anyway. So you can't be upstarting and getting in a ruckus lands. So all of these things are words that we're using. Remember, everyone's speaking English, which is not our indigenous languages. So all of these are words that we're using in a foreign tongue, not understanding the impact they have on us commercially, because the whole system is commercial. So when you understand that, when you say you're an American Aborigine, you're making a commercial claim about yourself, a commercial status, a commercial relation. You're an American Aborigine. Then in this English colonial system, you're saying you're of the first people of this place that they call America. That right there is different than any other status that you're going to give other than an Indian, an American Indian, because they said that an Indian is an Aboriginal inhabitant of North America and South America. And once again, it's not about what we think about these terms. It's not about the history of these terms. It's not about the relationship that these terms have in terms of what we look like and are classified as today and what we think of ourselves. It's all about the legal definition and the commercial status of it. So we can tie this all into the black identity, saying that if you claim to be a Moor, a Hebrew Israelite, a Pan African, copper colored nation, none of these tying to anything before that existed before the U.S., then they kind of look at it like you made it up and you're still black. And since you're still black, and since you're being rowdy, and since you're marching with guns, and since you're knowing a lot more about the law now than you used to know, we're going to really come down on you with the hammer. And that's what you saw in that Vice video. They had been watching that gentleman for 2 years, they said. He did an open carry march, I think they're in South by Southwest in Austin. They went and picked him up. He said he wasn't sympathizing with law enforcement when they were getting shot, and that they felt that he was a threat to the public safety. So this is what a lot of our people are going to face, because they either don't know who they are or refuse to take the time to find out, and then to use the proper terminology. And we can argue from a moral and ethical standpoint all we want, but the law doesn't care about any of that unless you're using the proper terminology. And it's important that we use the proper terminology.
Yo, let me add something to that real quick, man. Another variable which they added in that Vice video, because, you know, I introduced this subject matter last year following its release in August. As we see here on the screen, this was released in August of 2017 as Black Identity Extremist FBI report. Now, here it is over a year later, Vice decided to do a presentation on it. And now they're referencing a national security matter. Certainly, COINTELPRO and this, that, and the other. Thing is, people are running around treating themselves as if they're colorblind. They're defaming their character. They're not taking time to embrace their lineage and heritage and their people. And they're wrapping themselves up into a foreign conspiracy. Because essentially, that's what this Black identity extremism is based on. Would you agree to, Hawks?
Absolutely. It's all based in the notion that you're not from these lands. You're not from these lands. If you're labeled as black, then there's no blood tie on paper from a commercial perspective of you to these lands. And what is black? Well, black is anything. Black is all colors, right? Black is all colors, or pale, or whatever definition they want to give it, but it's most certainly not anything aboriginal.
That's right.
So everything that you're talking, no matter what claim you make, if it's not tied to these lands, they can label you as black if they want. And then an extremist on top of that, and ultimately a domestic terrorist here on U.S. soil. Means you get put in Guantanamo Bay, because this is what happens when you're claiming nationalities that you're not actually tied to, and renouncing any relationship to the U.S. You make yourself a stateless citizen.
Yep.
You have no protection, no constitution you're under, no rights, no human rights, and no civil rights. Nothing. Because remember, the civil rights and privileges, but you gave those up when you expatriated. And now you're in the hands of the feds.
And then on top of that, they're giving public notice of all of this. Instead of them going through the proper process, okay? Instead of going and putting things on public record, if you will, or private record, however record they want to go about it, they do this via social media for the feds to gain access to, easy access to. The same way you have dudes that be posing with drugs and guns back in the 80s and 70s when they had Polaroids, and then that was used in indictments. That happened to my peoples. You get indicted off of the evidence of what you gave them, that you was engaged in a conspiracy to distribute whatever, to engage in criminal behavior and activities. People are making themselves criminals right now. Hey, Buck, you here?
Yeah, sure.
Yo, what do you think about this Black identity extremist situation? What do you think about this, man?
Oh, I can't think of the word I'm looking for now. but all it is a ruse to go ahead and the people who always hollering black, the people who act out in black ways that have been set up for them, it's an excuse to round them up and dispose of them.
Yo, you're right.
It's simple. I would suggest everyone go look up something called the Georgia Guidestone. The people who call themselves black, African, jigaboo, porch monkey, nigga, if you watch how they behave, they don't act like the original people act. They try their best to act as stupid as they can. They don't think. They don't show any tendencies toward being a human, and this is shown to the rest of the world. One of the things that these so-called black people are taught, that they're the only ones who see all this foolery that we're doing. We're the only one who sees it. So when you post up stuff about black people think that black people are the only ones that see it. No. The whole world sees it.
Yep.
And now they have an excuse to rid the world of you because nobody wants to be around your dumb ass.
Well, you know, that's
and on top, let me just say this. And on top of that, you have a whole cadre of black people who condone this behavior. They'll tell you that leave them alone. They can do what they want to do. You're just being mean. You have a whole bunch of people that coddle and make sure that this behavior goes on. So, if you and I, it's sickening. What do you think the rest of the world thinks?
Yo, you know what? They demonstrated it this year. This FBI report came out last August, middle of August. I believe it's dated.
I couldn't hear anything that Mr. Davis said. Could you just give me a summation that's on my page?
Yes, my apologies. Okay. Basically, what Buck just said was, basically you will have these quote unquote black people that have failed to realize that the foreigners have something called the Georgia Guidestone. And while quote unquote black people are running around thinking that the foreigners are just talking about them, the reality is the whole world is watching, and they're also receiving what is being said to these quote unquote black people. So in summary, if you will, you got a whole bunch of dumbfounded black people that are pretty much killing themselves. This black identity extremist situation, they are active participants in their own demise. Hey, Buck, was that a good summarization of what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Two Hawks, Buck just said that's a good summary of what he said.
All right.
That made sense? Was that cool?
Yeah.
Self-destructive. Lorenzo Duckworth. That's right. Self-destructive. So, I'm on page 3 of the document, y'all. Y'all can see it. Y'all can see it right here in the screen share. Unclassified, law enforcement sensitive. And then we have this section right here called scope and note. Pay attention. This is just page 3. It says this intelligence assessment focuses on individuals with BIE, ideological motivations, who have committed, targeted, premeditated attacks against law enforcement officers since 2014. This assessment does not address BIEs who have attacked law enforcement officers during the course of officers' routine duties, such as responding to calls and traffic stops in which violent actions were reactionary in nature. Yo, that scope note right there, that places law enforcement nationally as well as internationally into a certain state of mind by default. And for the fact that this is a year old, so many quote unquote black people are completely oblivious to this, still talking about white supremacy, still talking about everything that's counterproductive, that are non-priorities. What is a priority is you knowing who you are. Are you a black identity extremist or are you not a black identity extremist? Do you have the characteristics of a black identity extremist or do you not have the characteristics of a black identity extremist? Two Hawks, what do you think about that?
I'm in full agreement with Tom Hawk. I think how close we are to what everyone's been afraid of or talking about happening so many years now. The whole Agenda 21, all of that craziness, you know, it's been talked about for years. But we can slowly but surely see it happening. And to the point of being, you know, sort of players in our own demise and destruction. You all have been having this A4 platform for a few years now, sharing this information, getting it out there to people, and yet there's still people arguing with you about basic things like whether everyone here is from Africa or not. So at some point, just in life, responsibility has to be taken. We can't always, to your point, Tom Moore, blame the white man. We can't. Because at a certain point, the white man has only but so much power unless we are proactively engaged. So when we misclassified and labeled all of these things 50, 60, 100 years ago, okay, it's 100 years later. And here we stand still embracing these labels, still not using just plain common sense, still not conducting ourselves in a dignified manner. If you're from the outside looking in, once again, taking away all morality and ethics and compassion, you're like, these people are idiots and they deserve what they're getting. And when you have individuals who are in positions of power over lots of our communities, who are viewing us like that, then you're going to get what you see going on right now. But we have to understand that, to your point, we are proactive in that treatment, in that we won't simply take the time to find out who we are and learn about the system that's being used against us so we can effectively mitigate against it.
Yo, well said, man. Like, yo, that's undeniable. That's irrefutable truth right there, man. I mean, yeah, we got so many of our people conducting themselves in a very indignified manner, very irresponsible, very dependent, very exploitable, very vulnerable, just typical consumers. I've spoken to elders that call our people consumer drones. And what can I say? I can speak in regards to what they contributed to leading up to right now. The thing is, we have a duty and responsibility right now. We have a duty and responsibility right now, especially mothers and daughters, fathers and sons. All of us, we all have a duty. You know, our youth.
I love that you said that, brother, because it's one of the things that I think we have to understand is that we are the leaders right now. We're it. They're elders, whether they want to admit it or not, whether they're still trying to hold on to power or not. We're the leaders simply because it's that time. There's young people out here looking up to us, so we cannot continue to just stay focused on what older generations didn't do. We need to acknowledge it, understand it, see where they went wrong, and then to the point, handle our responsibility.
That's right.
Because if you stay focused on what they didn't do, it's still not getting done. And now it's our fault because these ones who are here coming up after us are going to be left with whatever we didn't do that we were pointing fingers at our former generations for them not doing. So shame on us doubly for knowing it didn't get done and still not doing it to make sure the next one didn't have to do it when we should have did it.
Exactly. Like, yo, I'll give you an example, man. I'll give you an example. Yo, back in, I believe, what was that, 2014, during the incident that's referenced here regarding the dude Mike Brown. As you see on this page right here, they're referencing Mike Brown, the young man killed by law enforcement. I don't know. It could have been a crisis cast situation. I really don't know. Anyway, what I did, I reached out to people that was there in Ferguson. one of the people that I reached out to, this is what happened. I saw him doing videos. He was with the new Black Panther Party. They are listed as Black identity extremists. Okay? I recognized many years ago the new Black Panther Party, they are associated with the Moors, who are also associated with or listed as Black identity extremists. And so I reached out to this young man via the videos that he did. I was able to get in contact with him directly, and I was like, dude, I appreciate what you're saying. You got good energy. Yo, you're young, you're healthy, you're strong, you have good rapport, you have a great reputation within your community. Be careful who you are working with. Literally, within 90 days, he caught federal time for terrorism charge. I will not say his name. What I will say is we have a duty, what they say, see something, say something. We have a duty to say something to each other when we see something is wrong. Something is not quite right about this picture. When we are aware that they're busing people in from other jurisdictions into our neighborhoods to cause havoc and mayhem. And foreign media is videotaping and publishing and creating propaganda, demonizing our people and our environment, and etc. We have a duty to say something when we see something to each other. Not just when the foreigners do it, but primarily when we see ourselves doing things that's against what is dignified amongst our own. For me, it's real simple. Dignity or indignity, life or death. Take your pick. Dollar or dignity. I've been said that. Take your pick. Hey, Buck, what do you think about this?
Oh, can you repeat that?
See something, say something. But we seen.
Well. So if you see something, so remember, you're in the information age. So ignorance is a choice. So if you see something and say something, the people who identify with being black, they'll call you out on it. There was a cat named Bill Cosby that just got fucked over by the powers that be. Now, you can say what you want about this dude, but he sent hundreds of people to college, gave millions of people to these so-called historically black colleges. I think he wrote a $20 million check to people to go to Spelman. And he sees what you're talking about now with this black identity extremist, and he calls it out. What happened to him? So if you see something and you say something, normally, and you see it all the time in the social media, you have Negroes that tell, I'm telling on you, you can't talk about us like that. You're a moron. Your behavior is moronic. And you have people cry, I mean millions. I would say more than half of the so-called black community cry when you call out their dysfunctional behavior. So when you see something, say something. I mean, we'll do it, of course. I'm going to call it out all the time. But most people, they act like they can act any way they want to. I can act how I want to act. You don't tell me what to do. And you seeing it. So when they say black identity extremist, it doesn't mean that you have to be a thug. You can walk around here dressed up as a girl. That's extreme. And so all it is, and we don't get it, all it is saying, get rid of these niggas.
Hey, Buck, let me inform Two Hawks of what you said. In summary, Two Hawks, you here?
I'm here.
All right, yeah, you didn't hear Buck. Basically, Buck just said in regards to see something, say something, we got so many of our American people that want to be black. Therefore, they are complicit in not wanting to see anything. They just want to turn their blind eye, turn the other cheek on some good Christian shit. Damn, like yo, Buck said a lot, but in summary, yeah, like hey Buck,
Yes,
would you like to add to the summary? Because man,
no, man, that I mean, the subject that you're talking about is very important. The black identity extremist. Yeah, I mean, really, we have to understand what that means. You're claiming that you're something. The world has already set up a definition of what black is.
yeah,
Everybody knows what it is. You keep saying this is what you are, and I can be black if I want to. You don't tell me what to do. And so the world is saying, okay, well, if they're calling themselves black, and we think that everything black needs to be snuffed out, let's get rid of these niggas. Check out the Georgia Guidestones. They're talking about killing. Was talking to a little 8-year-old girl last night, and she was like, "Well, that's 8.5 billion people they have to get rid of." And I was like, "Exactly. Who do you think they're going to start with?" See, we think it's a game. We think it's pretty. We think we can do it. I can be me. I can be who I am. And the dumb shit that we talk and say, and also coddle, because the majority of people coddle this stuff. You have people who don't pay attention to it. You have people, man, I don't want to hear what y'all talking about. Those people are the people that let this go on.
yo, hey Buck, let me I gotta because I don't want Two Hawks just to be listening to nothing. Two Hawks, the people in the chat are saying they're able to hear Buck. My apologies for you not being able to hear him, but basically, Buck said he spoke to an 8-year-old girl, one of our American daughters, and he referenced to this 8-year-old American daughter how the Georgia Guidestones say 500 million people need to be removed or need to be don't need to be here on the planet, right? Let's say just in a new world. Let's just say that. And the young girl said, whoa, that's 8.5 billion people or something like that. Pardon me, my math might be off right now. But anyway, the girl did some math real quick. Unfortunately, X amount of our people are not doing this kind of math. Every day when they wake up, X amount of mothers and fathers, baby mommies and baby daddies are not doing this kind of math when they're going out into the world being good consumers, being good black identity extremists. And it's very unfortunate, to say the least.
I would say that what we're starting to see.
Hey, Two Hawks, you sound distant right now.
I'm sorry, what's that?
You sound perfect right now.
Oh, okay, very good. I think what we're starting to see and understand is that this color thing is really just a construct, because it's really about the spirit and the character of people. Because we have a bunch of people who look just like us, talk just like us, grew up in the same neighborhood, just like we did, dealing with the same challenges like we are, and are heading down completely different paths, no matter what we say or do. So while our hearts can yearn for them, what can you possibly do for someone like that if they're not gonna accept the truth for what it is and want to continue with whatever ideology that they have? So I think that I always try to see the balance in situations. So I'm saying it's very important that there's so many of our people who continue to conduct themselves like that. But at the same token, I think it behooves us to then start to look at the content of people's character, not just get stuck on the fact that we're the same color, so we should be building, but okay, we're the same color, and your mindset is this, and your actions show this, and okay, so I'm getting to know you as an individual, not just as a part of this group that we're all somehow a part of. Because it's going to come down to that. We're getting to the point right now where the world has to be held accountable for the way things are going. You know what I'm saying? If we believe in a world of righteousness and truth and justice, then there has to be accountability at some point. And I think it's going to be a very ugly time period. A lot of the traditional cultures talk of several times of judgment on the planet, whether you're talking biblical, whether you're talking indigenous, whatever background and history you're coming from, there's always a time of judgment that has occurred and will occur, they say. So when we look at things like black identity extremism and all that, you can kind of look at those sorts of things as punishment for people who continue to embrace ignorance.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Continue to embrace not being dignified, not being respectful. The notion that doing the right thing and being respectful towards each other is weak or is not the way it's supposed to be shows just how much we've been colonized. The notion that it's okay to attack our own, but then cower in fear from those who aren't our own, that's a concept that was pushed upon us through colonization. And we have to let it go. Because if we don't let it go, well, then what right do we have to complain about the way we're being treated?
I have something to add to that. In my opinion, we have to ask ourselves a very simple question. Are we complicit in the corruption? Are we aiding and abetting the abundance, the multi-generational abundance of corruption, perversions, support of everything, which is just, let's say, for lack of a better term, sabotaging our collective future and existence? I believe this is a question in which people really need to ask themselves. I mean, I asked this question of my own self. And as a result of me asking myself these kind of questions, and when I engage or interact with certain, people, relatives, friends, etc., right? Well, first and foremost with myself, I have engaged in some things. I haven't been Mr. Perfect. I've never claimed to be Mr. Perfect. One thing I can say is I've studied to know what commerce is and to know what my dignity is. I've studied so that I can know the difference between the two. Now, certainly, my peoples didn't extend to me directly, immediately, the differences between what is commerce and what dignity is. Therefore, X amount of our youth was told, if you want to get a job, you got to sell yourself, right? So now, if you're told as a youth, you got to sell yourself, by default, you're going to compromise yourself. You're going to engage in aiding and abetting. You're going to support corruption. Why? Because, you're just selling yourself so what? You can survive? But the stakes is much higher.
Just think about that language. Sell yourself. So
exactly.
Automatically, inferior position.
That's right.
Because you're not buying. You know what I'm saying? No one's coming to try to sell to you. You're trying to sell yourself to something, so you're automatically inferior. You're taught that from a younger age. You're inferior.
Yep.
You need to prove to these people that there's a reason why they're going to invest in you or give you an opportunity.
Pay you an hourly wage and tax you at the same time. We're going to work you like a dog, or worse than we're going to work you worse than we work a dog, okay? And we're going to tax you upwards of 2/3 of your energy when it comes time for you to get paid, right? And so now I'm gonna treat you. I'm gonna convert you from a worker for someone that has value and energy and etc. I'm gonna convert you into that of a scavenger. And now when you get off work, you're gonna be too exhausted. But you gotta, if you were baby daddy, that's what you gotta do now, baby daddy. You gotta get some money because your baby is crying. And you got to put in that work. You got to go scavenge. You got to become that much more of a greater consumer. Therefore, you're aiding and abetting. And this is, in my opinion, what breeds black identity extremism. Especially when you got all these black churches that's preaching black identity crisis. The churches ain't telling the people the truth in their own communities in which they're supposed to be serving. And the church is just one organization out of so many others. The quote-unquote black church. The black church itself is a fucking black identity extremist organization, in my opinion. Pardon me, man. I get a little excited. How many funerals are conducted week after week, month after month, year after year, generation after generation by the black church in black communities? And meanwhile that they're present, taking money from the people, right? Not providing services for the people, right? They're selling people dreams or selling people this trip to heaven, right? By taking the money, the preacher don't even live in your neighborhood. Nor does the bishop. None of them live, none of the elite of your local church live in your neighborhood. But they're collecting from all the people in your neighborhood, and they don't do nothing for the people in your neighborhood. Meanwhile, the preacher, pastor, reverend across the country is sleeping with your wives, possibly your husbands, and definitely your kids, males and female kids, right? What's that set? What does that set out you for? Let's say you have a father, a baby daddy. Let's say we have a random baby daddy, all right, from let's say the 90s, right? And so he killed a preacher. I'm just saying what I'm saying, hypothetically speaking. Killed a preacher, he gets locked up, and now he went from Christianity, and now that he's locked up, now he's being formally introduced to either Islam, be the Moors, or he's being introduced to Hebrew Israelite-isms or what have you, also Moorish. And then he comes home, and this is what he got to know, dedicated for the past X amount of time that he's been incarcerated. Now he comes home, he is ready to support that which has supported him beyond anything from his own community. And how many of these males, these baby daddies that we have running around? See, people don't think about this kind of shit. People don't even talk to the people that experience this kind of shit. But the FBI, they assess this kind of shit. They analyze, they train, and they make preparations. My apologies. What's up?
Yeah, so I think that's a good tie back into the BIE situation, because it all goes back to who you are, who you are, and who you're identifying with. And I like to reiterate, they know who we are. They have our records. So here in Rhode Island, by blood, there is a nation, Narragansett Nation. We actually call it the Narragansett Nation because after the King Philip's War, a lot of the Narragansetts went and mingled in with the Nahantaks, which was one of the sub-tribes in the area. And collectively, they all started to get called Narragansetts, but it's two different bloodlines that are there. So there's 6 different Narragansett tribes throughout the state right now, all at different levels. One of them, the Narragansett Indian tribe, is federally recognized. They're the only federally recognized tribe in the state. 3 others, including Mashapog, Uskapog, and Ninigrit, operating tribal trust. And there's the Northern tribe, and then there's the Wickapog tribe. What's happening now is a lot of the tribes in the area that before couldn't get federally recognized, they're now starting to be offered federal recognition. And why is that? Because they'll be down on paper classified as something other than what they naturally should be. So it all was going to come back to how you're identifying, because right now they're trying to go around grabbing people up and getting them to agree to something that they can have some jurisdiction over. So when you have people running around willfully claiming to be a Moor, claiming that this land is a Mexim, when you have people willfully running around claiming that they're Hebrew Israelites, but don't know which tribe they're from, don't know which family of that tribe they're from, because Hebrew Israelite is a nation. There was a nation of Israel consisting of 12 or 13 tribes, if I'm not mistaken. I believe 13. You can't claim to be a Hebrew Israelite. You still have to know what tribe, and then you have to know. So it's the same exact concept no matter what you're claiming. And if you're not claiming anything that's tied to this land, then you're going to be pretty much black. And then what they want to do is, once you know you have a tie to this land, tie you up in some relationship like federal recognition that still gives them jurisdiction over you. So this is why I'm saying the identity, knowing who you are, is so key. It's the first element, because it's what's going to back up all of the black identity, all of the black treatment, all of those sorts of things that our community keep from. Knowing who they are is going to put a buffer on that, give you a moment to breathe, a moment to think. And then we have to learn how to conduct ourselves accordingly. Now, touch base on one more situation. I won't mention the particular nation, but we were made aware of a tribe that, without creating the trust and doing all of the steps that we had said, went and attempted to take land back. And that's the quickest way to get labeled a BIE. Because once again, a nation, you're claiming to be a nation that is now being aggressive towards the superior. Because there's also classification of a domestic dependent nation, which is what most Indian tribes, the relationship they're going to be in if they're not operating through trust. So even if you are a nation, they're going to claim, yes, but you're a domestic dependent nation because you've been civilized by us. So every step has to be followed and every step has to be taken, because we're playing with a system that's not playing with us and who knows exactly who we are. So if you want to run around and call yourself black or Moor, Hebrew, whatever you want to call yourself, they're going to let you call it. Like you said, they're monitoring your social media, probably monitoring your emails. They're paying attention to everything you post. And all of us, especially since finding out about classification, everyone's so gung-ho to throw up what they know, right? Everyone's been doing that. There's so many copper-colored this and indigenous that, and so many names changed up, and so many YouTube channels have popped up. So people have put it out there publicly for the FBI to see and watch. So when you're putting all that out there, the question is, are you prepared for the ramifications for whatever it is that you're putting out there? Because they're watching us and they know who we are. Which is why if you're putting that stuff out there, you're not going to probably get a lot of pushback. You're probably not going to get, until you get too extreme or start getting too close to the truth. But they want you to put it out there because it's you making a public expression of yourself that is not tied to anything to these lands, or else not tied to anything that's to these lands that's pre-colonial. And both of those positions are great for the colonizer, because they're still in a position of authority over you. So I'll keep reiterating every chief or guest that I am privileged to bring on here. They're going to keep reiterating. You all, everyone, all of us have to know who we are. There's no way around it. There's no shortcut. There's no skipping. There's none of that. You can't. You cannot. You can't go anywhere in the world and not know who you are and expect to be respected. You can't. And this black identity extremist thing is the sort of like the culmination of what's going to happen for people who don't want to take the time to find out who they are. They're going to give you for you a black identity.
Two Hawks. Hey, matter of fact, Two Hawks. I mean to interject, but Buck's been silent for a minute. Hey, Buck, anything? Because I got a quote right here from this report.
No, go ahead, because I didn't hear. I can't hear him.
Damn, y'all can't hear each other? Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Okay. Well, let me just go ahead and read this. Read this quote from this report real quick. Well, pardon me, this section. This says convergence of BIE and Morris sovereign citizen ideology very likely leads to violence against law enforcement officers. The FBI assesses it is very likely a few of the BIEs who have targeted law enforcement since 2014 were influenced by more than one ideological perspective. The FBI judges it is very likely in 4 of the 6 BIE attacks against law enforcement since 2014, the perpetrators were motivated by a mix of BIE ideology and Morris sovereign citizen extremist ideology, a category of SCE, sovereign citizen ideology. The FBI assesses it is very likely BIE adoption of a Morris sovereign citizen ideology identity reinforced a sense of disenfranchisement from society and a perception that the criminal justice system is unjust. Haven't we heard this shit so many times throughout our communities from our people, if you will, that chose to be colorblind and things of that nature? Haven't we heard this shit before?
You hear it every day.
Buck just said, we hear it every day. Every goddamn day, we got these colorblind people that deal with this Morris sovereign citizen ideology. That don't mean nothing. It has not done nothing since when? Noble Jew Ali's? Hold on, Prince Hall? Since Prince Hall. What exactly has this shit done for our American people, man? That simple. Very simple question. What has it produced? I encourage comparative analysis.
And now you have these same guys, these Morris cats, they're going down in different parts of America, like Brazil, Haiti.
Hey, Buck. Hey, Buck, hold on. I gotta be like what they call it, the teleprompter between the two of you. Yo, hello?
I'm sorry to hear what you said.
Yeah, I'm being a teleprompter right now. Or not a teleprompter, I'm being an interpreter. 2 Hawks. Buck who's just speaking. Wow. 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 Hey, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and kill this live. Oh, okay. Yo, hello? Hello? Fuck. Hey, yo, I'm shutting it down.